and welcome to lesson 3 in the lower intermediate series of 10 lessons. We're going to start book 3 today, viol player book 3, and start with looking at a half position. And when you first start doing this, this can feel like you're almost playing like another viol, because it feels so strange to have your left hand in a different place. So that thing that we did, getting our hand position in first position, you could try that and aim for your first finger on the first fret. Still with your second finger under your thumb, over your thumb even. That's always important to keep that ring, isn't it? But you could try putting your arm on like this and aiming for the first fret. So the idea with half position is that we can play D with a 2 and F natural with a 1, and we don't have to change between first finger on the D and first finger on an F. We can go into half position and use different fingers, and that's a lovely way to keep the resonance going as well in the third, isn't it? So the thing about half position is if you're going back a fret, you add a finger. So in first position we had G with a 2. In half position we've got G with a 3. In first position we've got F sharp with a 1. Now we go back a fret and we've got F sharp with a 2. So if you think about that as a principle, that can really help. Okay, so let's look at the first exercise on the first page. Just looking at those half position notes and keeping the second finger down when you play F. Okay, here we go. So let's do it pizzicato to make sure we've got a good contact with the fret. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And when, of course, you put third finger down for G, it's 3 fingers down. It's not 3 and pop 2 up. It's definitely 3 fingers down. Okay, let's look at number 3 now. Similar sort of thing where we've just got crotchet rhythm and holding that D and F down together. Here we go. 1, 2. Except you've got a lot longer to hold your second finger down, haven't you? A lot longer. Let's try that with the bow now. Okay, here we go. 1, 2. It's a different feeling, isn't it? Different feeling completely playing in half position. Okay, and let's look at number 5, and we'll do that pizzicato, I think, first. Okay, here we go. 3, 4. So, did you manage to hold all your fingers down on the E string when you play the A string in the tunnel-shaped hand? Rather than do this, I don't want you to do this. Just because you've got an open string doesn't mean to say that you take your fingers off. You hold them down, keep contact. Okay, let's do number 5 with the bow then. Here we go. 3, 4. Okay, let's turn the page. I'd like to look at Dindirin. This is a lot of fun, this piece. And it's all around this D, E, F. So you're keeping your fingers down for D when you play F. Okay. let's try the first line together and we'll do it with the bow. So F on the first fret. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and a bit quicker. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. So you've got the idea then that you play 3 is a G and D is a 2. Okay, a bit quicker then. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And it's very often when you do things quickly, you think, because all your instincts are perhaps on a slower level, and then when you make it quicker, the things that you're learning just can disappear. So challenge yourself in that way sometimes. Try something new and do it gradually quicker and see what remains. So it's often a quick way of learning things. Let's look at the next line now. So this is a slow line, so about this speed. So let's look at the last line. Let's look at bar 6. And I think we finished on a push bow. Now, in our last lesson, we had a massive string cross to do, didn't we? On the rond. We've got to do exactly the same thing here. So let's just practice that then. So this is the last line, last bar of the first line. So 1, 2, 3. Did you see I came off that note just before 3? So I was, when I started the next line, I was on the beat, but having left this D ringing. 1, 2, 3. It's not this. Can you hear the difference? Stopping it on the string and letting it ring, and not letting it ring. 2, 3. So keep the pressure on the bow, rock it round. Okay, and let's look at the last line. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And of course we've got a text here, haven't we, to show us how to play it. We're looking at the punctuation in the text, always to try and phrase and copy the vocal line. It gets slightly harder in 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, where we've got that back bow, because we've got to make a weak sound strong and a strong sounds weak. So we've got the reverse bowing, but we still got to make it have the same sound. So the last line, strong, weak. And that's, it's something that it's really good to do so that you have the opposite bowing, but it still sounds the same, as we've just done there. Okay, so let's put this together now, and let's do the first line about this speed. And let's see if we can have a crescendo going to the third bar. So faster bow speed, as you saw me do. Dum, da, 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 da. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, dum, bum, ba. Okay, here we go. Ready, and 1, 2, 3. have forgot then. So lots in that, and it's such an exciting piece to play this, and it's lovely to put the few dynamics in that we've got. Just a question for you. So when you were doing your diminuendos, was that third finger just sort of going on the hair a little bit, just even on the last note of the first line maybe, or the second line? Just to support the hair, so we're not going, but just keeping the resonance going. Anyway, let's look at the next page. This is page 3. And what I've done with this in this chapter is to introduce half position notes on different strings and different rhythms. And I think this can really help just to orientate your hand to the new position, but the new position on each string. So I quite like to do the A string exercises with the semiquavers and the quavers. So we're looking at B flat, B natural, C and C sharp to the semiquaver rhythm. So da 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 da, that sort of speed. Okay, here we go. And 3, 4. So that's B flat, B natural, C, C sharp to that rhythm. And that's a good thing to do, just do it with your eyes closed, just orientate yourself as to where those notes are. Now in book 2 we did C major and we did it up the C string. And we played F on the C string, which because it's a thick string, it's a thick gut string, it's whatever your beautiful viol is, it's never going to be a nice note down there. Sometimes we have to use it, but if we've got a chance to use this clear F on the E string, then we will. So let's just play this scale of C in half position and holding that D down when you play the F. Okay, here we go. 3, 4. Okay, close your eyes. It's a weird sensation, isn't it, when you first start playing in half position? Because it's almost like you think, well, I really don't know what note I'm on. But not really. But it can feel quite strange, can't it? And even stranger when you close your eyes. Anyway, it's all a good learning curve. So before, when we've done C major in first position, C major arpeggio, we've done it with chordal fingering with 2 and 3. Now we're in half position, we add fingers, and the same notes become 3 and 4, like this. So little finger on that top C, and can you see how I've got my wrist up, still got my bow tunnel I can use, which is meaning that chordal fingering is not a huge movement. If you've got the right hand position to begin with, chordal fingering is almost negligible. Well, the movement for it anyway. Let's try that pizzicato, that arpeggio. Here we go. So, 2, 3. And you know me with arpeggios, I like to do them 3 times. So that means once my 4th finger goes down, it can stay down for 3 times. Now where it's B down. Okay, should we try that with a bow? Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. It's quite a strange concept, isn't it? Holding your 4th finger down but taking your 3rd finger off to make an open E. Should we try that again with our eyes closed? Here we go. 2, 3. arpeggios, because we're doing lots of string crossing, try not to do it at the tip, because then you can save your movement. You can do it further down and keep the bow closer to your body. Over the page. I wanted to look at Mrs Nag Viol's challenges on page 5 and number 1. This is a compound time signature with a dotted rhythm, and I want to use this as preparation for the piece on the next page. Let's try it first pizzicato. So you're in half position, you've got F natural, and when we play G, A and B flat, that's another sequence of thirds, isn't it, that I want you to hold down together. Like we had D and F, we've now got G and B flat we can use together. Okay, here we go. So this is number 1 on page 5. So I'll give you 4, 5, 6. Ready? 4, 5, 6. Okay, now let's try that with the bow. Here we go. 4, 5, 6. Okay, so when we play dotted notes, it's really, really easy to make them sound really clumpy. And by that, I mean use too much bow for the quaver after the dot. Let me show you what I mean. Can you hear how I had a fast bow there? On the quaver after the dot. And if you can have a shorter bow on the quaver, i.e. less bow, it makes your dotted rhythms sound really elegant. And it also, if you think about where does the quaver come in the bar, is it part of the next crotchet or is it part of the previous dotted note? And I think if you think about the quaver as an upbeat to the next note, that's another reason for your quavers to sound much more like an upbeat and not too big. Let me show you what I mean. So here we go. So I had a sense then that I was joining the A to the B flat and joining the G to the F in the first and second bars. So I had a long bow for the dot, a shorter bow for the quaver, and then I kept the next crotchet in the same place on the bar, on the bow, sorry. And then I came back with the next dotted note back to the tip, and then played the next note at the tip, the next quaver and the next crotchet at the tip. Let's try the whole thing together and let's see if you can do that with me. Here we go. So 4, 5, 6. Let's turn the page. Obviously there's lots of other pieces for you to play in between doing all this. I want to have a look at the on page 6, the notes on the E string in half position, and guess what we've got here? A nice little dotted rhythm. So you can think about your dotted rhythm in isolation just while you're learning these notes. So half position notes on the E string then to 6/4 dotted rhythm. Here we go. 4, 5, 6. Really clear because you can see that I'm doing a 1 long note, 2 short notes further down the bow, 1 long note, we've got here: F, F sharp, G, G sharp. Okay, which brings me nicely on to Jenny Pluck Pears. And the dotted rhythm that we've got there, and this is different because we've got a string cross to put in as well, so we've got slightly more to add to our to what we're doing. Let's try pizzicato first because there's some interesting chordal fingering in the second bar which I just want to show you first. So we've got F sharp, we're in half position because we've got this G, A, B flat, and then we've got a D, so we're now not allowed to do this. We don't jump from 2 to 2 anymore because we've learnt chordal fingering in chapter 4 and book 2, and we're going to twizzle our hand around to cover that D, and then we can put 3 back on that G. So we've got separate fingers, one for the F sharp and one for the D, which frees up G. Okay, let's play this together then. Here we go. And 4, 5, 6. We'll stop there. So let's look at the penultimate bar then. In the second line we've got F natural, open 1, 3 for F natural G, then F sharp, an E natural, and F sharp with a 2. And it's good to get those just sorted out in your mind like we did in that exercise with the dot. Okay, let's put this together with the bow then, and let's think about the left hand when we're bowing, just for the first line. Okay, here we go. So 4, 5, 6. Let's do that again, still thinking about the left hand. Don't forget to hold the G down until you need it for the C. Or if you want to be super clever, you could do a 4 on the C, couldn't you? And hold the G down all the time. Not mandatory, but you can have a go at it if you wanted to. Okay, so let's just do this again, thinking about the left hand. Here we go. 4, 5, 6. There's a lot to think about there, isn't there? Now let's do it again. So this is the third time, and we'll think about doing it with the bow to get the dots and the quaver after the dot nice and light. Okay, here we go. 4, 5, 6. And that's a really good way of practicing thing. You play it a few times thinking, okay, this is the left hand, okay, got that now, got that on autopilot, now I'll think about the bow. And the time that you take thinking about the bow is as important as learning the notes. It's very easy to forget about the bow and just think, well, I'm just bowing this. But the notes that we learn in the left hand, they're increasing all the time, and so is the vocabulary of the bow stroke. So we're getting more and more complex bow strokes, and we're thinking about how to use the bow so we don't have notes that stick out like a sore thumb. And of course we're trying always to make a beautiful sound. So try and really think about that and practice the bow separately, or put your brain on your right hand, practice with your brain on your left hand. Okay, so at the beginning of the second line we've got this jump, haven't we, from the 4th string to the top string, which I think this is the 3rd time we've had it in this 3rd lesson. Let's go from the beginning again, and we'll go on once we get to the end of the first line. Okay, here we go. And it's up to you whether you think about your left hand or your right hand, or you don't think at all, you just play. Here we go. 4, 5, 6. And what I just said about not thinking at all and just playing is also incredibly important, because there comes a time when you want to put everything on autopilot and not think about it, because it is possible to overthink things and feel like you can't get anywhere, that you're thinking about this, thinking about that, and actually it's too much sometimes. So sometimes you just put things on autopilot and you play, and probably slower than you might do if you were just thinking about things, but it's important that you don't think sometimes, and you let your body absorb what you've done. Okay, that's the end of that bit then. So let's go to the third line. This is bar 9. I'm starting this on a back bow. I hadn't marked a bow with this, but I'm starting it on a back bow. Okay, here we go. So the first one is quiet. First phrase is quiet, next one's mezzo forte, next one's forte. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And of course, whichever way you start on this, whether you start on a push bow or a back bow, it doesn't matter. We've got 3 phrases that are the same, haven't we? And whether we're bowing it with a push or a pull, they all have to sound the same, so that the minims in the bar go towards the semibreves, and they do that incrementally with the dynamics. So if you start with the first one in bar 9, you're hardly going to move your bow at all in comparison to the way you're going to move your bow when you've had this phrase for the third time. Okay, try that with me and we'll do it with dynamics. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh dear. Yeah, I had a bit of string interference then. So let's stay for bar 9 and we'll do it with dynamics, starting with a quiet and slow bow at the beginning. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And at the end of that line, you're supporting with a third finger and just making the resonance come out of the viol, and then we're going to retake as well. So we're taking the bow off the string. 2, 3. So there is a direct correlation between the speed in 6/4 and 3/2, isn't there here? I know some people have played the second section of this really slow. Quick, but you get the idea. So I think it doesn't really matter actually whether you want to have one speed relating to the other in this piece, or whether you just want to play it how you feel it and maybe play it slightly slower. Lots in that, lots of dynamics, lots of thinking about how to play elegant dotted notes. So that's the end of that lesson, and I will see you in lesson 4.